with the course starting September 16th. This 360 broadcasting course is free and funded by Learning Wave SkillNet through SkillNet Ireland.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Welcome back. Dundalk still 1-0 down to Celje. I know I'm mispronouncing that. There's no need to text in. 74 minutes on the clock. Dundalk 1-0 down. Champions League qualifier. This is a one-legged affair. We'll keep you up to date. Damien's watching it here in studio. But I'm very happy to say Eric Donovan is on the line. Good evening.
Good evening, Joe.
Sorry we've nagged you into doing this.
That's all right. No, I don't mind at all. No, I'm glad to be here and glad to talk about the fight now. I think it's time to talk about it and reflect on it, and yeah.
Friday evening, I know you flew home Saturday. How have you spent the last couple of days?
Really just eating, resting. Sweets for breakfast, sweets for lunch, sweets for tea. No, just really just relaxing, eating good food, and just basically chilling out. That's it. Haven't really budged much from the house at all. So, but I'm not sleeping very well because I keep shouting, move your feet. No, I mean, overall, I'm just letting the body relax, and I'm quite taken aback really by the amount of the response. I mean, the response to the fight and to my performance, because I lost, and I lost in the most devastating fashion. I got knocked out, and that has really that really hurt me, in a kind of a pride type of way, and but I mean, I'm a fighter. I know what I've signed up for, and I know what the consequences are to boxing. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and sometimes you win ugly, sometimes you win great, and sometimes you lose ugly, and sometimes you lose great. But it's hard for me to kind of, it was hard for me to kind of take the positives from the fight. But the response I've been getting off people has just been really moving, really, really moving. And I just thought, after losing in that kind of fashion, that it would be almost like the end of the road or whatever. But it seems like now my stock has risen up, and other doors have now opened up, and people know I can still fight, and people know I can sell myself, and people know I'm good entertainment, and that it seems like now I'm going to get a crack at my own weight. And if we'd known that going in, we would have took it all day, but we took a big gamble going into it anyway. We knew that, and our plan was to win the fight, but that didn't work out for us. But it seems like we're going to get another chance.
Eddie Hearn in particular seemed to be very taken with you. He talked pre-fight around the various interviews that you were doing about how engaging he found you and very likeable, and he said everybody around fight camp really loved having you there. And he said post-fight, he'll be back 100%. I'm a fan. I know Eric will be devastated, but he put in a performance where, let's be honest, he was schooling Zelfa Barrett completely in control. And, I mean, you were for a huge part of this fight. Various commentators obviously were chipping in during the fight. And first 5 rounds, it might have been 4-1 your way.
Yeah, I think even in the 7th round is where I got the first knockdown. So I'd say that would have been 6 rounds scored. So I'd say I was about 5-1 up myself. Yeah. I thought the first round was a bit cagey, but I thought after that I kind of took off, and I just kept pushing further and further away from him. And, our plan was all along was to box the head off him. That was our plan. Let's box the head off this guy. He's not in the same league as you in terms of boxing skills, boxing IQ, ring craft, all that kind of stuff, but we knew that he had something that a lot of boxers would give the right or left arm for, and that's the knockout punch, and he just has it. And it's a natural thing that he has, and we had to avoid that punch for 10 rounds. And I thought for the first 6 rounds I did brilliant, and even up on halfway through the 7th round I was winning that round too. I was well ahead in that round too. And honestly, I didn't even see the punch. I didn't think I was as close as to be hit as I was, and I looked at him. He was looking back. He's standing orthodox, and what he done was he brought his back leg in forward, and he almost he stood square. So he stood square from an orthodox position, and then whipped in his left hook. So it's a very smart move, and he threw his whole body weight behind it, and then just when it hit me, it literally just it knocked the foundations out, and I just hit the ground. But obviously, I'm a fighter. I got back up and probably should have moved if I had to have a little bit of, it's an experience. It's a massive learning. I've learned loads from it. But when I got up, I probably should have moved and just seen out the rest of the round and kept up on my toes, because I can move really, really well, and I didn't need to mix it with him. But the natural instinct of a fighter is to go and fight back and,
reclaim the round a bit.
Yeah, but like the round was already lost. It was a 10-8. I could have, if I had to have the smarts about me at that time and the awareness, to just kind of say, hey, look, get up on the balls of my feet, get up on the balls of my toes and just move around and see out the round and regroup. And but I didn't. I tried to fight it out with him and got caught again. The second one wasn't really a bad punch. It was just more or less off balance. But what I was doing was I was in the pocket, and I was wasting a lot of energy that I didn't need to, and I had no strength or power in my shots.
I wouldn't think you've been.
I probably could have changed.
I was just going to say, I wouldn't think you've been knocked out very often, given amateur career and your professional career now. Like, is that the biggest punch you've taken, that one in the 7th?
Yeah, I've never been hit like that before. That was a really, really big punch. I have to say, like, oh man, credit to that man.
So what happens, Eric? I mean, thankfully I haven't taken too many punches in my time. Do you know where you are? Do you know it's the 7th round when you get up? Do you know about what's left in the round? Can you feel your feet? Are you kind of, can you feel the ground beneath you? What's that experience like?
Yeah, it's not sore like in terms of stinging or painful in that way. It's actually not sore at all. It's almost like it just takes your equilibrium away from you. It just takes your it just takes the strength out of your legs.
Right.
Because even when I got hit with that punch, it was just like it's almost like your head just says, the upper part of your body just says goodbye. It's just like I'm going. Like there's nothing you can do. Your legs just gone. Yeah. No. And but then when you hit the ground, it's obviously I was concussed I definitely was concussed, because it's a lights out kind of punch, boom. But then I came back to my senses very quickly as soon as I hit the ground, and probably got up a little bit too quick with the first punch. But that's the instinct, and probably could have stayed down on the ground for 5 or 6 seconds, but I think I was up at 3 or something like that. But again, there's learning in it. But I got up and tried to fight it out with him, and I probably didn't need to do that, because that gave him so much momentum going into the next round. It's kind of hard. It's a bitter pill to swallow, because 1 minute I have him in the palm of my hands, 1 minute I have him in the palm of my hands, and I'm going back to the corner after every round, and I'm like, wow, we have this guy. I'm buzzing. I am just getting stronger and stronger, and every round I go out, it's getting easier for me and easier. Not so much like as in like a walk in the park, but I'm growing and more in confidence, and I'm making him more frustrated. I can see it in his eyes, and I'm making him miss, and I'm giving him a little cheeky smile, I'm just trying to get under his skin, and I'm doing everything I humanly possible to kind of just make this guy break and burn in front of me, and because it's his big shot in front of Matchroom and in front of, they've heavily invested in him, and I just want him to kind of become aware of everything that all these pressures, and to hope to make him fold in front of me. Like I even rattled him in the 5th round, and he stumbled back, but I knew he wasn't overly hurt, so I didn't jump on him. I didn't want to do anything careless. I just said, look, just keep putting the rounds in the bank. And funny enough, me and Ken were talking all week, my coach, Ken Egan, and Ken said to me, Eric, You want this guy going back after 7 or 8 rounds to his corner, and you want his corner saying, you need a knockout. You need a knockout. But we didn't want them to get the knockout. You know?
Don't make him want it too much.
Yeah, we didn't, you know, we wanted them to be in that position, but we obviously didn't want them to kind of deliver on it, you know, so, you know, but...
And you know the first punch where you said he showed you the picture and stood orthodox and then the left hook came.
Yeah.
Had you seen that in his footage before? Did you know he had that up his sleeve?
Yeah, I did. I knew what kind of a puncher he was, and I knew even from the first 6 rounds that he wanted to set himself in front of me to land those big shots. And I think I just hung around for just a tad too long. I know. I just almost hung around just a fraction too long. And as soon as I seen him even flinching or moving closer to me, I should have been gone. But I'd say it was fatigue setting in as well. Because and people don't realize this, for the 6 rounds, you know, that's 18 minutes of high level boxing. And there might not have been a lot going on in those earlier rounds, but trust me, there was a hell of a lot. Even from me, from feinting with my eyes, feinting with my feet, jostling, positioning, you know, trying to move, being defensively aware, being elusive, making a miss with the big powerful punches, all of that like saps your energy. And then just eventually, at that time in the fight when he caught me, he seemed to be coming on really strong and seemed to be kind of more or less kind of, he's done 12 rounds and everything before. I've never done that. So that was it. Just a lapse in concentration more so than a lapse in concentration mixed with fatigue, I think. And then bang, you know, and that just shows you how quickly it can be all over. But you know what? If I'm ever in that position again, and I hope I am, I'll know what to do. You know, I didn't know what to do at that time. The 12 fights that I had in the past as a professional, they were good old fights. They were domestic level fights, journeyman fights, but like they could never prepare you for something like this. Never. You know?
I'm not surprised to hear you say there was a degree of fatigue, because on the television it absolutely was apparent how sharp you had to be in those opening rounds. On television, the commentary team very early on said, oh, this is a really good fight. You know, both these guys are really sharp. And there was a tension about them. I mean, you were both really zoned in. As you said, there was lots of feinting, there was lots of sharp movements, lots of sizing each other up. And weirdly, as a TV viewer, not having a crowd there almost added to this sense of jeopardy or something, you know? It just was very involving. So I'm not surprised to hear fatigue was there. How did you find the absence of crowd and the absence of atmosphere? Because like I say, from a TV point of view, it seemed to heighten what was going on in the ring almost.
Yeah, it did. I felt like we were really on a platform, you know, even though we kind of were, but I just kind of felt like all eyes were on us, like, you know, and you could hear every instruction that was being shouted around the ring. And it's not like there was many, because normally when you're in a packed arena, you're kind of searching for your coach's instruction, or you might pinpoint somebody's voice or sound or accent, or someone like your fiance or your sort of family member or something. You might just pinpoint some, but this time there was no crowd, but you could distinctively make out every single word that was being said. Like Kenneth would say something, and then Mark, my manager, would say something. And then Eddie Hearn, I even heard him saying, you got to do something, Zelfa. You have to walk him down. You have to change tactics. Walk him down and throw your punches. I could hear everything that Eddie Hearn was saying. And then my manager, Mark, and Ken were saying, just move, Eric. Just move. Don't stand in front of him. And like, it was just so weird in that way. But I knew we were in an empty arena, but I also knew there was a lot of eyes on us, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
I knew there was a lot of eyes on us. And to be fair to Zelfa, he came into the dressing room to me at the end, and he was very respectful and mannerly, and you know, he just said, oh my God, he said, you were boxing the head off me. I had to pull it out of the bag. He goes, don't give up, really, don't give up. He goes, like, you're a great fighter, you're an incredible fighter. I learned a lot from you. So that was really nice from him to say that, like, you know. So and I probably got a little bit too carried away as well for myself, like sitting in the corner. I was fully sure that in a couple of more rounds here, I'm going to be the IBF Intercontinental Champion. That's how supremely confident I felt.
Right. You felt that comfortable. You felt that on top of him.
I felt that I'm just going to see out these rounds now, and then I'm going to be champion. That's all I have to do is keep doing what I'm doing.
Is he?
But what happened?
Is he a powerful puncher? But I know he's 15 knockouts in his 25, 26 fights. I mean, I'm conscious you were fighting a weight above your usual. That had to be a factor as well in terms of what he was able to unleash. But it looked like he could knock down a bigger man as well.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. What a puncher, seriously. And like, he's a pro since he was 21. He's 27 now. For the last 6 years, he'd been working with his uncle Pat Barrett, who's a former European champion, and a bit of a knockout artist himself, and he's a bit of a knockout highlight reel himself. Excuse me, going back over the years, and so he would have been helping him to develop the power and to be able to put his whole body and rotation behind the punches, because that's what he does. He really punches from his hips, sometimes his ankles even. The punch comes in a big roundabout way, and when it hits you, it really does knock your whole senses out of you. Like, I've turned professional a month before my 31st birthday after spending 20 plus years in the amateur game, and you can actually see that. You can actually see that a lot of my boxing is still very amateur, very, you know, I'm landing loads of punches, but they're not really taking the same. It's almost like one of those old computer games. You ever Street Fighter or something, and you'd be baiting away at the buttons, and you'd be picking one of these guys who'd be boxing the head off. He'd be boxing the head off one guy, and their energy's only going down one little bit, and the next minute this other guy does a big move, and you see your whole energy at the bottom of the screen zapping down or going all the way down halfway or something. But that's what it was like. I could pepper him, bam, 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 hit him 3-4 punches, move, bam, 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 again, move, 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 and to keep that up, it took a hell of a lot of energy from me and concentration. But then when he gets in and he just lets one punch go, it just, you know, you can feel it. You can feel it in your bones. You can feel it in your muscles, and you know, it's some difference, really.
And were you kind of done then, like, because he knocks you down a second time in round 7, and then you go in 8, like watching the fight, and so that's quite a distance away. But watching it, you never looked like you'd fully recovered from that first one. Did you ever feel like you had got to grips with that first punch?
No, I remember sitting down in the round at the end of. I remember sitting down at the end of the 7th round, and Ken was there. And, yeah, how are you? And I said, yeah, I'm good, I'm good. I'm just going to let him punch himself out. And Ken was going like, yeah, but don't let him. You know, you're going to have to throw something back as well. This lad's going to be all over you like a cheap suit, like, you know. And probably that was the first time in the whole fight where I kind of felt like, okay, my usual minute rest in the corner was, I have this guy, I'm going to win, and I'm going to be the champion. And then at this point, I didn't have them thoughts, but I didn't have the thoughts of losing either. It was more like the thoughts now of survival. Right. How do I negate this? And I remember standing up when they said seconds out just before round 8, and I actually didn't know what round it was. Like, so I guessed in my head it's going to be 7 or 8. So when they said seconds out, and then I said 7 or 8, is it? And then they said round 8, and I said, oh great, that's good, because there's only 3 left, you know.
I might hang on.
And then but if I had to have the awareness then to just say, hey, Eric, lose this round on purpose. Lose this round. Don't do it. Don't go near him. Let him punch us out. Let him look for you. Go, you know, move around the ring. Show him feint right, feint left. Drop your head, roll, tie him up, wrap him up, hold him. You know, these are the kind of things that, looking back now, that maybe I could have been doing, you know, in the 8th round, and not trying to go out there and box like I had been. Because even the punch that I threw, that, like, even the time he knocked me out in the 8th round, I just threw a straight left hand at him. And as soon as I threw my straight left hand, my right hand came down, way down, like I opened up the door for him to throw that left hook. So my right hand should have been here, right here by my temple, while I threw that left hand. But I threw my left hand and my right hand came down like this, right down, away from the guard. And then he caught me with that punch and I walked onto it. But like, again, I opened the door for him. But these are all little learning things. They're not little, they're massive, but they're things that are they're things that I can learn from.
Yes,
you know, like
yes.
I think when I go back into featherweight division, which I will do now, I go back into my own division of featherweight. There's not a featherweight around there that's going to knock me out with the same punch. You know what I mean?
Yes. And are you
Like
are you remembering this fight so vividly just from experiencing it, or have you watched the tape a few times?
No, watch the back twice.
Okay. And did it tally with what you felt? Was it about the fight that you felt you'd experienced?
Sorry, Joe. Sorry.
Did what you see on screen tally with what you felt? It was like experiencing it, you know, because
yeah, kind of, more or less. Yeah, fairly close. All right. Like I was saying to myself when I got up, like, what are you doing, mixing it with him? Like, just get out there. You don't have to prove it. You got knocked down. Go and regroup. You know, what are you doing standing there, punch? You know, because even in that area there, like when I got knocked down for the first time, excuse me, and then I get up and I stand and I try and mix it with him. That's just me being ridiculously stupid, really. You know, that's just being stupid because I have no energy. I'm still probably a little bit concussed, and I'm standing there, and he's just after knocking me down, and for the first time in the fight, he feels like he's back in the fight. So he's now got momentum, belief, everything in front of him. So like when you get that, that's a powerful thing. And now I'm standing in front of him. I'm wounded. I'm hurt, and I'm trying to show some sort of a macho man instead of just being very clever and get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And I'm standing in front of him punching, and probably at that moment I wouldn't beat my way out of a paper bag, but I'm standing there and I'm trying to have it out, and that's like looking at that's not a good thing to do, you know, like. That's the learning, you know, there's loads of learning in it. But I'm also kind of shouting at myself, like, move, move, move. I can see how, like if I had to, like, even if I had to get to the end of that 7th round, there was another round in the bag, you know? And then maybe, like, even change tactics for the 8th or whatever. And going through all these things, like, you know, maybe Ken could have said in the 8th, like, right, that's it, take a round off. You have this in the bag, you know, lose this round on purpose. And then we go hard for the 9 and 10 and we'll do, you know, we'll let him punch himself out or so. There's so many possibilities. But
unfortunately for you, hindsight is a perfect thing. I can see how you're staring at the ceiling a little bit at night time, and there's so much to work through there, and you know we're all Monday morning quarterback. So the disappointment, I understand, the frustration, the sense of what might have been is there, and yet it is really good to hear you say though that you've been hit by the reaction, which, you know, social media for what it is, a judge of anything. You could see there was huge support behind you. People were really impressed with how you fought. As I mentioned, Eddie Hearn was really impressed with how you fought. So in a weird way, just going over there and the nature of the fight, your sense is it has opened a door or two, and there may be, you know, Eddie Hearn said definitely going to have him back at featherweight. So that's kind of an optimistic note to finish on.
It is, you know, it really is, and even when I looked at my performance as well, I know I'm focusing on the negative here and where I got knocked out. But for that first 6 rounds, or even 6.5 rounds, if you like, I was absolutely exceptional. I'm very proud of what I'd done, because I was amazing, and you know I haven't boxed at that level ever, and you know the last time I was at that level in terms of like world-class boxing, elite level, was as an amateur. But then again, that's only over 3 rounds, and that was 7+ years ago.
Yeah.
So what I have done, I'm very proud of what I've done. Really am proud, and everything that I'm after coming through, and the overcoming adversity and the dark places and everything. I'm really, really proud, and I'm proof, because I sometimes try and practice what I preach. So I'm proof, you know, that like we are a resilient people and we can do so many amazing things. And I want to prove to people that like recovery is possible. And not only is it possible, but we can be successful in life if we're prepared to put in the work. Like, you know, one fight is not going to define me, But what that fight has done for me as well is it's given me reassurance to know that I'm going in the right direction. And it's after opening up more doors for me at featherweight, and I'm more determined now to get back in there and get back out on that stage, because I certainly have not lost it. If anything, I have found more. I've more in me, and I can't wait to deliver what I can deliver on. And I still believe that there's a major championship or a major belt in me at featherweight, and I cannot wait for it. I really can't. And I think that's what we should all try and do, is strive to be better. Just strive to be better than we were yesterday, and hopefully then, you know, that we'll get rewarded for the hard work and effort that we put in. And I definitely think there's some big, wonderful nights left in the Lily White Lightning.
Well, there's no
doubt. I
doubt.
just want to make people proud.
There's no doubt. You don't put in the performance you put in, especially in those first 6 rounds, without incredible work, you know, and you came from tough place, and we've talked to you about that before, and you more than delivered on the night, which is the reason Eddie Hearn and others saw the value in getting this guy back, and very quickly. To finish up on a very last point, as you can imagine, there's loads of messages coming in. Fair play to that lad. What a great interview after losing a fight. No bullshit, talking honestly. Shane in Galway, why are all boxers so good at interviews? Great insight. Well, they're not, Shane. Not all of them are, trust me. Eric Donovan is. Mick and Carla, what a wonderfully open, insightful, honest, humble guy Eric Donovan is. We'll be watching him and cheering him on in the future. More of this guy in the future. Give us a final sense, Eric, of the messages, because you said that was an aspect of dealing with the disappointment.
Oh, I'm not even joking with you. I was crying in my hotel room the day before the fight, because my fiancée Laura sent me a 10-minute video and a collage of all my photographs of the journey I've come through in life, and my kids and my training camp and my team and everyone that's been a part of Team Donovan, Team Lily White Lightning in every way, in the ring and outside the ring. And I was crying because I just felt like, wow, I'm after coming this far in my life, and this is unbelievable. You know, I used to sit at home and dream of being on nights like this, and dream of being on the stage like this, and a couple of I shed a lot of tears, but I was really happy, you know, because I felt like this is a distance I'm after traveling. This is amazing. And then afterwards, I was crying because I was hurt over losing the fight. And then I started to read articles and posts and such, and then I was crying again. I was like, my God, what's going on? I said, like, you know, I lost the fight, but it felt like I won, because people were just too kind. Like, and then I kind of got an idea that, like, I was opened up to a whole new audience. Yeah. And the audience that I've been opened up to now, they're real boxing fans, and they don't care if you win or lose. What they care is that you fight and you're honest and you're good enough. And that's what I felt. I didn't get the victory. I dared to be great, and I was great, but I didn't get the belt or the win. But I was great. I was great in what I'd done, and I was great in the efforts that I've shown, and I will live to fight another day. And that's it. And the people that have texted me, all I can say to them is thank you from the bottom of my heart. It absolutely means the world to me.
Listen, my man, thanks so much. Eric Donovan, you're a gent. We'll be talking again soon. Fair play.
Thanks, Joe. Bye-bye.
Off the Ball on News Talk. Hate missing out? News Talk Extra is news, entertainment and all the latest podcasts, plus expert tips and competitions straight to your inbox. Subscribe now at newstalk.com/extra.
At Guaranteed Irish, we believe enterprise is at the heart of thriving communities.
Did you know Sudocream's name came from the Irish pronunciation of soothing cream? Still manufactured by Teva in Baldoyle today, Sudocream has been soothing skin since 1931.